Okay, it is Hedera Hashgraph HBAR time, and we have got a jam-packed video for you lined up. We're going to be starting things off on what we've actually covered 3 times today, or this will be the 3rd time today, in regards to what BlackRock has to say about crypto's adoption and how it's outpacing the adoption of the internet and mobile phones. Now, the significance here is just how impactful those technologies are on our day-to-day life. We're very much like cyborgs now, and I think that's only going to increase. And actually, if crypto is on the same path of adoption, but at a faster rate, we can ultimately derive from that billions of people are going to use this technology. And Hedera Hashgraph, I believe, stands a damn good chance of capturing quite a lot of that. I'll quickly talk about a report that JP Morgan published talking about how much money is likely going to flow into the Solana and XRP ETFs. And actually, we looked at what Eric Balanchunas and James Seyfarth had to say, looking at what they thought the likely ETFs in this year were going to be. And they say Litecoin and Hedera actually before XRP and Solana. Billions of dollars are coming for Hedera, and its market cap is only in the billions. Then we're going to talk about price. When we look at Hedera on a big time frame, it looks wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. We will be reiterating a lot of that. We'll not just be doing that and talking about it against the dollar. We're going to be looking at it against Bitcoin and, of course, in regards to its dominance, its position as it relates to the overall market cap. How much percentage does it hold? And we'll be looking at it against BTC and Ethereum. It looks fantastic, guys, when you look at this. And Hedera is about to leave a lot of the space behind. I truly believe that. So without further ado, let's get into it all, guys. Let's kick things off very quickly. We've already covered it. This will be the 3rd time today because it's so significant. This is the BlackRock report. They talk about how adoption of crypto assets has outpaced growth for mobile phones and the internet. Time needed to achieve 300 million users. And you can see it's only taken the crypto space 12 years. It took the internet 15 years. And of course, mobile phones 21 years. Now, of course, we live in a more connected world. Technology can be adopted at a faster pace. But if we are going to see this trajectory continue at a faster pace, we can derive that the cryptocurrency space is going to have billions of users in the coming years. And that's the prospect. That's the exciting prospect of being a crypto investor right now. Now, JP Morgan published a report where they spoke about what they thought the inflows were going to be for XRP and Solana. And they even go as far as saying that XRP's inflows are going to engulf, Ethereum's. Hedera is in the running for an ETF. In fact, James Seyfarth and Eric Balanchunas, the guys to follow, in my opinion, when it comes to ETFs, have both put forward their proposal for Hedera to actually be one of the first to get regulatory approval. Not to mention all the things that Trump's doing. In fact, we looked earlier today, was it the Washington Post? It may have been. They spoke about on day one what Trump is going to do. And he's actually going to start to break down those barriers that have been put in place by the SEC, the old SEC, and the kind of administration. He's going to start breaking down those barriers and opening up the floodgates. We've got a lot to get into, guys, so we're going to get into it. So extremely bullish things. We have spoken and given you guys our prediction on XRP, Hedera. And we've ultimately looked at the fact that we believe this is now a phase 2 market. So we break the markets down into 4 phases. We've done a lot of work on this. Hedera, really since the sort of start of 2020, has been in an accumulative phase, a basing phase. Since then, it saw a 700% move, an initiatory move to the upside, and is now at a point where it's consolidating. So we don't really want to talk too much about the bigger time frames, although it's important. You know, we're ultimately sort of big weekly time frame investors. We like to look at charts and spot opportunities, and Hedera is exactly that, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see this accumulative phase. This is your breakout on volume. You want to see that volume, and this is across exchanges, confirming the conviction behind the move. When you break out of something to the upside, doesn't have to be on the downside. In fact, that can often be the reason why things are breaking down through lack of interest. But when you see a breakout to the upside, you want to see that volume really confirming it. And since this 700% move, we've continued to highlight this consolidation period. And if we look at this, we were looking at a bull pennant that is ultimately just extending. That I think once it breaks, stands a damn good chance of at least taking Hedera to 50 cents and then actually potentially above and beyond. Certainly to that double bottom target that we have. and you can see, let's go back up to the weekly. We do have a double bottom target around about 92 cents. I think you're going to see that this year. In fact, I think you're going to see above and beyond that. How happy would you guys be? We're here for that. That's what we want for you guys. But on the shorter time frames, which is really what we're here to focus on, this is essentially just going to set up for a continuation pattern. This looks brilliant when we look at Hedera, ladies and gentlemen. During this consolidation, what are we seeing? We're seeing a restriction in volatility. Look at the volume. Big volume on the break, and now it's declining. Ready for, and anybody that's familiar with the Bollinger Bands, that expansion in volatility. That is coming, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not just Hedera versus US dollar that leads me to believe that. It's the Hedera versus Bitcoin chart. Look at this for a move, and look at the kind of consolidation we're seeing here. Very similar to the consolidation that we saw over here. In fact, let's broaden this chart up a little bit. So this is the consolidation that we're talking about previously. We did look at it. We'll get a little bit more retail on the chart. A little bit more real estate. Look at this. You've ultimately got a wedge-like, pennant-like structure that is going to see Hedera gain pretty serious ground against Bitcoin. It's not just the HBAR USD chart that's showing this. It's the HBAR Bitcoin chart that's also showing this, expecting Hedera to move well against Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's likely going to be going up in that environment. Bitcoin was going down. We know the story. It is still the tide that rises and sinks all ships. But also when we look at Hedera dominance, we've seen a substantial move. And what is it doing? The exact same thing, ladies and gentlemen, just like it did previously here on a smaller structure, ultimately setting us up for continuation and a move that sees Hedera start to move into the percentages. So it's not even a percent yet of the overall market cap in regards to the kind of size of the space that it holds. So HBAR USD looks amazing on the short time frames. HBAR Bitcoin looks great on the short time frames. HBAR dominant looks great on the short time frames. And HBAR ETH is not only at new all-time highs, but it's likely going to continue even higher, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the exact same pattern forming. And what all of this is leading me to believe, save this video, guys, remember that we said this, is that Hedera is about to gain serious ground, not just from a US dollar price point of view, but in regards to its positioning in the overall cryptocurrency space. It's about to gain ground against Bitcoin. Here we go. Dominance, its position in the overall space, how much capital it actually demands or controls, and Ethereum. When it walketh, talketh, and quacketh like a duck, ladies and gentlemen, it is a duck. You're about to see a monumental move for Hedera coming. I think that's very, very probable. And actually, that is more broadly in line with the trajectory of the space. It's very interesting because the total market cap charts kind of, and I'll show you this actually, because it is very interesting. The total market cap charts very much just ran into, and we're going to go back on a weekly time frame, all-time high resistance. So we'll use the total 2, for example. In fact, we'll use others because Hedera and others looks at the top 10. Hedera is still outside of the top 10, guys. This ran into resistance. It's pulling back. Remember, this represents everything outside the top 10. Ultimately, it's very common you get a pullback when you run into all-time highs. This is where a cup and handle pattern comes from. Before you form that handle and you really push on forwards. So we think the space as a whole looks great. We can derive that from a number of things. There's lots of examples we can give you of this. Of course, we were looking at a kind of cup and handle for Bitcoin. Remember, total 2, and it pushed above it, just like we were expecting. Run into all-time highs, consolidate before continuation. Let's look at a few more examples. I'll just show you a few more examples. The DAX was one that we had great success for. You ran into all-time highs, you pull back in continuation. This is what the total cryptocurrency market broadly has ahead of it. Certainly others, everything outside the top 10. A few more examples. Microsoft was one. Ran into all-time highs, pull back, continuation. What else do we have? The SPY wasn't really one. The NASDAQ I know was one, but whether we've got that drawn or not is still to be seen. Let's look at Vanex Semiconductors. That's a good one off the top of my head. You can see this. You run into highs, you pull back, and then continue. And if we go back to what we were looking at as it relates to others, what are you doing? The stage is set. The stars are aligned. And again, when we look at fundamentally what's happening with this space, it's a very bullish picture. When we look at Hedera technically on a big time frame, It looks sensational. When we look at what it's done since its sort of initial rally, we're calling it the initiatory rally, 700%. It's pulled back a little bit. It's consolidating in this sort of wedge-like pattern, ultimately squeezing, ready for a break to the upside against the US dollar. Bitcoin, dominance, and Ethereum. Ladies and gentlemen, Hedera is about to get rocking and rolling. That's it from me. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.